Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. A bell of blessing to everyone who's joining us from far and near. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimi Eitayo, and we are streaming from Lagos, Nigeria to West Africa to Africa and the entire world. It's a pleasure to have you here on the Good Morning Education Show today. And as usual, we spend time together to discuss on subjects of interest, subject matter, topics that kind of open our eyes and inform us of things that we need to know, things that we're dealing with, and probably things that will help put us on the path of progress. Today will not be an exception. We're going to learn together today. We're going to share together and we're going to grow together. And on the show, we always encourage everyone who's listening to us, who's joining us live, to share their names with us and the locations where they're streaming from, connecting with us on the show. We also ask that you feel free to ask questions based on the subject matter of the day. Feel free to ask your questions. Don't just stop there. Ask your questions and also make your contributions. We will welcome that as well. Today is an interesting day, and like they normally say, as it's a custom on Fridays, people would say, it's thank God it's Friday, and we are thankful that today we are witnessing yet another experience on the Good Morning Education Show. Just so you know, the Good Morning Education Show is a daily program that we bring your way Mondays all through to Sundays. On Mondays to Fridays, we meet on the platform live on Facebook across the pages we're connecting from, and on YouTube. That's my personal YouTube channel. We have the show starting from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. West African time. And on Saturday, we shift a bit because it's weekend. We have what you call the weekend special, where sometimes live broadcast and repeat broadcast is made between 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Saturday mornings. And on Sundays, we have the show 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if you would like to learn with us, share with us, be a part of our world, please do not hesitate to be a part of the Good Morning Education Show. It is what we normally say, a great morning, always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. And today will not be different. Ladies and gentlemen, within Nigeria and beyond Nigeria, we have an interesting topic to discuss today. And I call it an interesting topic because of the uh, perspectives that probably it will trigger. And on the show, one thing I forgot to mention is that we spend time sometimes looking at, industry news, and we also have our analysts and guest experts from time to time who, get to be a part of the show, and they speak their mind, they share their thoughts and their expertise on the subject matter of discussion. So what it does is that it opens you and I to several views about a particular matter, and that provides us better perspective, better insight, better knowledge, and of course, gets us skilled and empowered at the same time. So this morning, we will be talking about something that should interest you if you are a professional and expert indeed. We're talking about a topic titled or tagged, Do Experts Expire? Do experts expire? Experts are considered to be individuals who have reputation and skill in a particular domain. Experts are people who pretty much are, you know, they've gained some measure of mastery and competence in their field, profession, or in a particular trade. Experts are always people who actually have experience, who have exposure, who've gathered some measure of advantage by the privilege of exposing themselves or starting early in a particular thing or the other. Experts are people who've acquired knowledge, who've actually processed knowledge, internalized knowledge, and are able to profile the outcome based on the inherent knowledge. Who are experts? Experts are people and individuals who are conferred with authority based on their sacrifice, long time of study, and sometimes based on the results they have to show in that particular domain. Who are experts? Experts are people who we submit to due to their skilling, due to their discovery, due to their survival, due to their successes. Who are experts? Experts are people who are able to show progress in performance, who are able to repeat success from time to time, who are able to demonstrate that there is knowledge, there is skill, but there's also result to follow the knowledge and skill they have. Who are experts? Experts are individuals, experts are organizations, experts can be anyone who actually has trade secrets or is a custodian of history on how certain things are dealt with. Experts are people who have been transferred certain knowledge, certain practice, certain methodology that will help them get the job done. And when you listen to all the things I've said, when you listen to all the introduction, when you listen to all the definition I've shared with you, you realize that an expert um, is, or referring to an expert, it means that we're talking about people who know, and they know that they know. And most times, people know that they know. Before I take a step further in this conversation, let me just appreciate the math educator. Good morning. She says, great people. It's always a good morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for joining and welcome to the show. So, like I was saying, where you get to understand who an expert is, you get to see that we're not just talking metal. Experts are everywhere. But then today's topic is bringing us to something that we need to pay attention to. It's possible that you might have had that thought in your mind. It's possible that you might probably have had that conversation with someone. It's possible that someone probably has propounded a theory around that. And so we want to deal with the issue. Do experts expire? Of course, for you to get to understand, let's take the word expire. And just like we spent some time to look at the word expert, I want us to spend some time to look at the word expire. What will it do to you? What will it do to me? What does it resonate with you as? You see, when you say expire, to expire, there are different meanings to it. That's the honest truth. An individual, an entity, something can be seen or expressed or described as expire. But we most times use the word expire when it comes to things. Sometimes we use the word expire when it comes to states. The truth of the matter is this. If you were to check the definition, you'll realize that when something has gone beyond the period of validity, it's considered that thing has expired. If you say an individual has expired, then it probably means you are referring to the person, getting outdated. The person is getting to a point where he or she, right, uh, may actually have died. You're talking about where there is a cessation of a contract, as it were. That likelihood, to say, oh, that's expired. But it's not the best to describe of human beings, because that totally is depicting more of death, right? But freshness, you know, when you look at freshness, freshness leaving someone to to end or terminate something, we could also refer to that as expire. you know. And as you're listening to me, I want you to understand the answer to the question, do experts expire, is a capital no. Experts don't expire. I'll now share with you reasons for my stand on this. I will try to open your eyes to see why I am making the kind of point I am making with regards to experts. So if you're out there and you're an expert, or you've seen some experts you followed or who model behavior to you, I'll probably see that some people are no longer doing what they used to do. It doesn't mean that they have expired. I think that we should refrain in some cases away from using the word expire for humans, and also using the word expire for experts. Experts don't expire. Experts don't expire. What normally happens to experts, and I'm going to share with you shortly, I'll start with the first one, is that experts don't expire, but experts exit. They don't expire. They exit, they don't expire. You might want to write that down, math educator, if you don't mind. Um, Write that down. Experts don't expire. I'm also typing it. Experts don't expire. Experts, guess what they do? Experts exit. Exit. That's what happens. Sorry, apologies for that. So, she said, thank you, expert routine. Thank you very much. So, you want to have it at the back of your mind that experts don't expire, experts exit. And what it means is to leave the stage, to leave the current reference point of trend, to leave the place of relevance or significance. But that doesn't change, negate, or say that they cease to be experts. Experts exit when they have a measure of influence taken away, or better still, a measure of influence not felt any longer. When their impact in a particular field, terrain, or people begin to, look like it's no longer there, then the first thing that you might be thinking about is that, could it be that these people have exited the stage? The truth of it is that what you don't see is not because it does not just exist, right? What you don't see is also probably because that thing has been taken away. Now, who took it away? It's not the people out there, it's the expert himself. So when an expert shields himself, when an expert shuts his mouth or her mouth, when an expert exits the stage, of impact, of execution, of delivery, and the likes, what happens to that expert is that the expert has exited. Have you not noticed that whenever we stop doing certain things, whenever we stop having certain things, whenever we stop acting in certain ways, what happens to us is that we stopped and we exited the place of execution. We exited the place of doing. We exited the place of impact. We exited the place of being present. And for every exit, it could be likened to expiration. Because what you are saying is that your time on this matter is up. Your time involved in this situation is up. And only you allocate time and only you will execute time to yourself. So as you're listening to me, and I hope it's making sense, understand it clearly. Experts don't expire. Experts exit. Very clear. Experts exit. They exit. They exit. You need to remember that. Now, let's take it a step further. Now we talked about expert exiting, right? But there's another thing that I want you to also realize, because when people say, do expert expire, you know, I think that sometimes there's a positive side and a negative side of just seeing someone in a particular frame, in a particular shape or shade as they, they used to be. Now, when you realize as an expert that you can exit, you also need to understand that in some cases, and we need to be able to check out what exactly applies to us. In some cases, we find out that the industry, territory, the market itself begins to dictate and predict what should be done. And when experts realize that an expert must understand that there's something that is required for him or her to do. Failure to which the next thing that will happen to the expert is that the expert gets expunged. When you get expunged, what actually that means is that it's like when a market is refusing you. So it's not that you don't have knowledge, you know. It's not that you don't have power, you know. It's not that you don't have will, but sometimes when the market begins to have a different appetite, some things become unpleasant to them, some things become unwanted to them. And that tells you that experts themselves get expunged. They don't get expired, right? You understand? They get what? Expunged. And this is very, very important. That's why you must check from time to time, you know, on this particular thing. You must check from time to time that experts that you might find around, or the experts that you are, you might see that your market can expunge you. So experts don't expire, they exit. Experts sometimes get expunged. Expunge is spelled EXPUNGE, and that is very, very critical. Experts get expunged. And so you need to begin to understand that it is not just your knowledge and expertise that is at stake, but you must find out what the social reality is in your market. Now, that's not a subscription or that's not a prescription, better still, to just flow with the tide. No, that's not a prescription to try to just give people surface level things and make them happy and just tilt to what they want. No, it's much bigger than that. It's much sensitive than that. You see, you must be able to understand that our expertise sometimes is not valued if it stays within us. Number two, our expertise sometimes is not valued if it doesn't align with the one who is asking or who we are interacting with or who we are making a market out of. And that's where we need to realize that experts must always feel the pulse. What exactly is the market saying? What exactly is the market need? What exactly is the customer's need? What exactly is the need out there? So that when I know the need, I can reposition either my solution, reposition my brand, reposition myself, reposition for offering that value, reposition for advantage, repositioning for positive impact. That's what I believe, it should be, and that's how it should be done. Experts don't expire. I'm going to go on a short break, and when I'm back, we're going to continue the conversation on do experts expire. I hope it's been making sense so far. And if it has, that's fantastic. I will be right back, and we'll talk more about experts don't expire. Stay tuned. In less than 10 seconds, I'll be right back. So, welcome back, everyone. This is the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimeter, and if you're just joining us, just in case you're just connecting with us, we are having an interesting conversation today, and we're talking about experts. We're talking about how do you put it? Experts. Do expert expire? That's our question today. That's our question today. And I said to the people who probably have been listening, I said that experts don't expire. Experts exit, they don't expire. Experts can get expunged out of completeness. You've completed what you need to do, or you communicated that you have completed. Basically, you're done with your task in that field, or you've got into the climax or the peak of that field, and you're not probably pursuing further. Several things can be used to describe that, and that helps you to realize what it is that we're saying. So if you have questions, please feel free to ask your question. I'll go, I'll go, how do you put it now? Our goal is to you answer to the questions that you're having as we study on this together. So experts are expunged, experts exit, you know, and a lot of people must realize that, you know. And I think that some people also miss out on a point, especially the experts of today. I think that one thing that we must be mindful of is this, that experts as well, right? Okay, let me read an opinion. In my opinion, I think experts need to update their knowledge and skill from time to time to remain being experts. I like that. Yes, um, that's a very good comment. The truth about it is that you are an expert when you actually are able to follow the definitions I've shared. But you can have cutting edge, you can remain relevant, you can be significant, but not that you are not an expert. We must recognize that. So that's why we're dealing with the word to expert expire. And I really want to buttress on the contribution made by the math educator, because it didn't open us up to realize uh, certain things, which I believe can actually help someone out there who is listening, who is listening to us. I totally also want to say that, when we are evasive, you know, as experts, we sometimes tend to put ourselves in a place of extinction, in a place of oblivion. And what do I mean? There's certain things that your expertise must confront for your expertise to be complete. There's certain things that your expertise must engage with for your expertise to show. its completeness. And people can say, oh, well, this person has lost their effect, they've lost their impact and input. Because over a period of time, the person is losing grip and is being evasive. It's not confronting things, squarely. It's not addressing things that matter squarely. And that is very, very important. We must be able to understand that. If you follow what I'm saying, so the first thing is that experts don't expire, they exist. Experts don't expire, they sometimes get expunged. And this one now is saying that experts, right, sometimes, are evasive. When you are evasive, you lose out, you know, you lose out a lot of time. Um, and that is where so many people are current level. Their current level is at the level of, you know, being invasive. They're at an evolution stage that they don't confront things headlong. Let me welcome Olushola Lumide to the show. Good morning, sir. Olushola Lumide, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Rotimi. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Yes.
Yes, with our audience.
So we're talking about the topic: do experts expire? So what's your take on that? Do experts expire?
The answer is capital yes.
Oh yes, I said no.
Oh, fine. Well, you are equally right. Expert doesn't expire provided the expert continue to retool, reskill, re-strategize to meet the demand of the day. But experts do expire where you refuse to upskill, to retool, to reinvent, restructure, and re-strategize. So if you say no, fine, but I'm looking at it from the angle because not expiring isn't automatic. It doesn't just go, you're like, okay, I'm an expert based on the current trend, based on the know-how and your professionalism part time. Keep working to meet the demand of the day. You are not going to expire. But if experts in the last 10, 15 years, 20, 30 years who were not computer literate, the advent of computer being ICT compliant made some of them to expire. But there were some who are able to upscale, retool, and reskill, and they keep trending or they continue to deliver value. Of course, technology is disrupting everywhere. Disruption is inevitable. It's either you disrupt or you are disrupted. So it could be yes, it could be no. I agree with you, but I'm looking at it from the other side that expert can expire if he or she is disrupted. So in order not to expire, you must keep disrupting. You must continue to bring your best foot forward on top of your game. You must continue to find out what are the new things in the industry, and you keep yourself abreast with what is happening. And when an expert is less informed than the people he's supposed to minister to, then that expert expires. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I actually like that perspective, because what I said earlier was that experts don't expire because I had to define who an expert is. I gave about 6 to 7 definition, and I now went further to say that the referencing of expiration, expire, is not best used to human beings because it signifies death, and also I had to say that what we normally qualify from the place of expiration, or when you say experts expire, is that experts don't expire, they actually exit. So when you exit the stage of influence and impact, it's considered that you expired. And people need to realize, because there are different states and different situations. Number two is that sometimes experts, just also to also align with what you said, if experts are not in tune or in alignment, they can be expunged. So their knowledge and skill is good and is still known, but if the market is not in desire of that manner, the market can expunge that expert. It's just like music. You understand? So the
Yes.
state,
Can you
the
hear
state
me?
of Yes, I can hear you. So
Okay, good.
the state of expiration sometimes affects people so well that, I mean, so bad that they don't realize that they have something good, but in defective method. They have something good in defective mind and defective hands. And I said the third one is that sometimes some experts are considered to expire because they are evasive. So really, we don't get expert expiration, we get expert evasion, which is an expert is not facing and confronting what he needs to confront in his market, in his industry, in his domain. Hence, is not relevant as it should be. He's not getting the kind of level of impact or the desired result as he should have. So those are the things that I kind of shared. That there's exit,
Oh, great.
plunging, and there's evasion.
Great. Now I understand. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Now I understand your perspective. Of course, I didn't hear that. And like you have said, you are right, because knowledge appear to be a continuous process, and that's why in research say you are adding to the body of knowledge. Some people somewhere somehow had contributed to that level upon which the new inventors can build upon. Like you have said, truly, I agree with you. However, you know that if you look at it in other variant or contextually too, um, take for example, people move from one thing to the other. Probably, like you said, that expert became evasive, not confronting what he or she needs to confront, not dotting the I or crossing the T, in a putting it in some language too, because expiration in ultimate terms means death. You are right. But do you know there are experts who are dead and their work is still speaking? Hello?
Yes, absolutely.
There are experts, yes, they are long gone, but the work still keep impacting succeeding generations. And by the way, not just impacting succeeding generations, there are people somewhere, somehow, who are also making money out of that. If they are put the right in place, they are still collecting royalty, patent right, and what have you. It's a, how do I put it now? It's a very broad concept we are dealing with this morning, but we need to unpack every side so that
Yeah.
we don't leave a particular side unattended to. That's why I said I agree with your perspective. Based on what we do or we choose not to do, an expert may continue to live or may as well expire. Like you said, exit. Some people attempt to have expired once they exit. You understand me? If you look
Yeah.
at the value placed on them, it's like what they call I'm trying to remember an accounting term now. That after depreciation, they say net worth, the net value of the asset. And by the time you fully depreciate an asset, the net book value of that asset becomes 10 naira. And you know what is the worth of 10 naira in our day. So that is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And one thing, that I think that a lot of people also need to discover and learn is that there is a huge environmental factor that I would tag environment. The environment is a big and massive factor why sometimes it feels that experts have expired. Um, we need to understand that the reason for the loss and lack of impact is also attributed to the energy in the environment. When the environmental energy is toxic, is limiting, or is a bit too definitive in a negative way, defining, that also affects experts. I think a lot of times that we begin to see that a lot of people cannot find the very best expression of their expertise because the environment in itself is anti-expertise. And that is a very critical thing we must begin to ask ourselves. Are our environment actually our worst or biggest enemy instead of it just being our biggest fear? And let me hear your thoughts about that, Olusola.
What a great perspective you have brought into this discussion this now. For those of us living in this part of the world, I tell you, environment will be our biggest enemy. You go and find out, virtually in almost every field of endeavor, there appear not to be data. And when there is no data, so what do you work on? And also, even when you are trying to bring up, you get a near correct, not correct, because people hide information. Okay, imagine somebody is doing a comprehensive study of a particular study from 1970 to date, only to cover from 1970 to 2008. There is no data. How do you go about it? Because or else we'll be doing a lot of gambling, trial by error, and a lot of assumptions which more often than not are wrong. And our proposition will be founded on lies, and they'll push it and people begin to run with it. In this part of the world, environment is our biggest enemy. Maybe one of the biggest. For me, I have said it, I think, on this show before. For thorough, um, will I say, research or intellectual engagement, there are two factors. Number one is your own intellectual capacity. Number two is the infrastructure available. Your intellectualism will not do it alone because you are not an island. You need to interface and interact with other people. Like I'm doing, I'm working on a particular research as you speak on how emotional intelligence can help reposition the Nigerian university. And I can tell you, in absolute terms, I've had over almost 300 respondents.
Please carry on. Please carry on.
As
Hello.
at this morning,
Hello, can you hear us? Olusola Olumide, can you hear us?
yes, I can hear you. Hello,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
sorry, that was a little interruption. The employability skill that is needed, you discover that they are the respondents who knew or who are blessed or who are gifted with such or who have learned those gifts are minimal. In fact, the highest respondents in that line appear to be people who didn't have any of those soft skills. And a sizable number of them are graduates already. Only a few percentage are still undergraduates. When the environment is like this, how do we learn? And look at our graduates. One of the greatest culture shock our people get when they transit overseas is to discover they have not learned what they needed to learn to be called a graduate. I have a friend who said by the time he was doing his master's overseas, he had to go back and be consulting books of 100 level students in that institution and see what those students are engaging at 100, 200 level. Meanwhile, he is there to do masters. He now also spoke about a particular lecturer who came for PhD. That Baba keep begging them, please, don't let money, don't let this my money go inside fire. All these things you people are talking about, I don't understand. The man came to study PhD, and the rudimentary things he ought to have known, he didn't know. He had to be consulting master students, undergraduate students to put him through on certain concepts. The man happened to be a lecturer in Nigeria. Now, with that level of his expertise, what can he give our students? And that's why the body of research, there appear to be a lot of kangaroo set of research in this country. Yeah, people come up with proposition, but are those propositions actually valid? No. So when you look at it, environment has done us more evil as far as intellectual space and knowledge space is concerned. We don't know many things we need to know, and it's actually affecting a lot of people. And I used to say, it is easier helping primary school, secondary school teachers. Lecturers are not easy to help. You can cut me anywhere. They are so full of themselves, even when they knew less to nothing. And until you approach knowledge with humility, you cannot be crowned with success. Knowledge has a way of bruising our ego. However, it crowns us with success, provided we are humble enough to learn. But when people are in a place where they feel they know when they don't know, and they are configured, it's like somebody with one eye in the land of the blind. He sees himself as the ultimate, but is that sufficient? Is that what you obtain? The answer is no. If you tell a lecturer that bring people in the industry who have just first degree, but they have a lot of experience, they will tell you they have PhD. Meanwhile, the content they are treating is the same content they treat 25, 30 years ago. How does that help our students of today? So the environment has really injured us intellectually. I tell you, Rotimi, sincerely, there is death in the pot of our institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's very, very thought provoking because, the next point I wanted to make, which is really where I want us to really dwell on, and I believe people are listening and will watch the replay, will be able to catch a lot of, things, from what we're saying and make it a bit practical in their own experiences. Thank you, Gochi, for the comment. Environment has done us no good intellectually. Absolutely true. Now let's get to the point where I wanted to say that also is a two-sided approach. Why, when we say do experts expire, we're looking at it as what happens in them. We're also looking at it as what happens through them. And this point is very important, and it aligns with what you said, Olushola. It is the scalability of knowledge transfer, that ability to scale knowledge. And that's why you find out that even the expert himself or herself struggles consistently with this reality, right? Experts do expire if they are not able to scale their knowledge. I think about it, in fact, part of, and I love the fact that you're carrying out that research, and I have given myself the later part of the year to actually put this in practice, because I actually spoke at a particular gathering, and part of the feedback and the analysis after that event was that so many people were excited about the solution, but they had the issue of implementation. and that they were ready to implement. They don't know how to implement, and that's their concern, that they're not going to attend any knowledge-based event, any knowledge-based setup, until, except that knowledge-based setup is just about implementation of all that has been taught in the past. And I said to myself, why not? Are there models that, okay, I had shared some models, which was more like a prototype, that they were like, oh, how they wish some things they've learned, there was a model to follow. And I think I want you to answer that question, speaking about the scalability and the modeling, because it seems that for our client, because a lot of things have not been experiential in learning, and a lot of things have not been we've not mastered the rudiments. It's best that we begin to teach models. It's best that we begin to share models, not just teaching knowledge and getting people informed, but we need to get people equipped and empowered. Over to you, Olushola.
Thank you, Rotimi. Um, I'm equally, I can relate with what you are saying, and it could be very, very painful. The ivory tower is not doing enough. Unfortunately, if you set up an institute where models can be taught in practical terms, they are going to fight you, not only fighting you. Look at our industries. If you are coming from a model institution where uh, these models are taught and put into practice, they look at your paper and say, where are you coming from? You say, this one is, sorry, is this diploma? Is this supposed to be diploma or a degree? Even our places of work are more in concern with that degree, that paper we bring, despite the fact that people cannot perform on their job. Now, you made mention of what happened in us and what happened through us. Listen, what happened in us determine what happened through us. No two way about it. A man, a woman cannot give what he or she does not have. If nothing happened in us, I can tell you at best, nothing can happen through us. And then I think it is time we should not just continue to theorize. There is need to learn. Yes, I'm not against having a master's degree or a PhD. Good. But beyond the theory, beyond just distributing questionnaires. Okay, imagine somebody is doing something on market, consumer consumption, and whatever. And he's distributing within the ivory tower. Ask that man, have you been to the factory before? Have you learned about the value chain? Do you know what goes into this product, the life cycle of the product? Go there, go and sit down with the people in the industry. He will tell you no. You are giving me questionnaire to fill. I will only fill that question based on my perception, and my perception may not always be right. Your judgment will be based on my own faulty perception, and you come out with a proposition that you want to run with. Until the town meets the gown, like somebody used to say, we are heading nowhere. Go back to the industry, because you know, in the Western climate where things are working, why do you think those institutions are getting grants running into billions? Because when there is a problem, they go back to the ivory tower and say, this is the problem we have. This is money. You go into research and give us solution. They are value-based. Gown meeting the town. When those solutions are brought to bear, it is handed over to the company because the company sponsored it. It is handed over to the company and there will be instant results. Rotimi, sorry for digressing. I was asking myself, somebody is doing PhD in Nigeria for 7-10 years, and the first 2 years is only helping the supervisor carry bag, buy tire for the supervisor, buy suit, and go take the car of the supervisor to the car wash. How does that contribute to his research? And that is almost everywhere. Adela, your supervisor, you have to be there. Christmas is coming, it is goat you must buy. How does buying goat for my supervisor aided my intellectual viability? My supervisor has come to the office with his wife. I had to rush to go and kneel down before the wife and help the wife carry her bag. How does that improve my knowledge? And after 2, 3, 7 years, we roll them out. Operation, let my people go. No wonder we are not getting funding here. In fact, I need to tell you, and let them hear. In fact, by the virtue of the questionnaire I put out, a lecturer chatted me in one of the institutions. He said, see, they just released funding in my institution on the issue of ICT, learning online, and I know emotional intelligence play a key role. I saw your questionnaire. Please, when you harvest the data, I will need it. We work together. I think we are beginning to wake up. I was so excited, not necessarily because of the money, but now they feel, let's go into research that will be productive, and we can tell our students this is the next phase to go. If models are not taught, I'm telling you, at best we are playing around. The institution who could help the university must be able to open their hand. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge. That you are a PhD holder does not mean you are not foolish in some part of your life. Meet with people in the industry. They don't necessarily need to have a PhD, but they know their onions. They can close their eyes and tell you trends. Not somebody carrying a notebook of 1994 and bringing it to class. How does that help our students? In some university, they are still teaching Fortran and Kobo. How does that help the destiny of our students? When people are talking about coding, when are talking about hackathon, people are talking about blockchain, you are teaching a modern Nigerian student on Kobo and Fortran? Something needs to be done, Rotimi. And until people in the average tower are humble enough to know that there are people who may not necessarily be a PhD holder, who may not necessarily be lecturers in their institution, but they can help their lot, our students will continue to suffer. Many of them, what they need to learn in 4 years, like I gave a student an online program after graduation. She says, sir, when I look at the course, I didn't understand it or take. 4 weeks program. After 24 years in the university, she couldn't speak to the online program. That's the situation we have in our hand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. While you were speaking, KK joined us. KK, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Good morning, KK.
Good morning. It's so good to be here. I planned to come in here, but I just had some meetings I needed to attend to. Thank you so much, my brother, Mr. Olushola. Your words were just music to my ears. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so let's have
You are welcome.
Let's have your take. We're talking about, do experts expire? We're taking it from more perspective, and that's where you joined us on the show. So let's hear your thoughts, KK.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're at the end of the show, but I really wanted to say that yes, experts do expire. And that's just to align with Olushola. If you have an expert who is not refining their expertise, who is not learning, who is not doing anything, who is not finding out what is happening in the industry, who is not even combining what is happening in the industry with what is happening in other industries, because nobody operates in silos, then that person is going to expire. And they're expiring not because their intellect or their knowledge is no longer great. It is still great, but it's now irrelevant, right? Things expire when they are no longer relevant. We can no longer use them. So they are no longer fit for purpose, right? So if we don't want to be people that expire, then we need to make sure that we're constantly at the top of our game. We're constantly refreshing our minds. We're constantly doing what it is that needs to get done. For example, I'm going to be speaking on Sunday, and they were asking me about the education policy. And I said to myself, no, let me go back and take a look at the education policy. I had to go back and look at that entire document again, to say, okay, did I miss something before? Why? Because it's something I know, but I need to go back and look at it. And then I didn't just look at it. I brought it into the current times, the modern times, and said, okay, if we're looking at the development and saying, oh, the educational policy is going to help us with economic development. So how is it helping with economic development, right? So in our schools, for example, again, same thing Mr. Olushola was just saying, have we looked at the creative economy, right? And that is honestly where your plumbers fall into. They're creatives. They don't follow the regular way of doing things. How about our skit makers, right? These influencers that we are having, all of these things, how is what is happening in school or what is happening in teacher training colleges that is bringing out our lecturers, bringing up our teachers in nursery, primary, and secondary schools. How is it aligning? Right? So it's really important that if we don't want to expire or be seen as expired, then we must constantly renew and refresh our minds, renew and refresh our minds in line with what is going on in the industry and in the environment at large. Thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi. Back to you.
Thank you so much. I love the way you said it. If you don't refine your expertise and integrate it to current demand, that becomes a problem. We've had a great time on the show. And if you don't mind, please remind us of the event happening on Sunday. I think the National Education Summit and Awards, because you'll be speaking there. So we'd like you to share a bit about that, and then we'll take other announcements out
It's
today.
the National Education Summit that is happening this Sunday. And what we're going to be looking at is how do we remodel education for 21st century relevance, right? That's a big deal, relevance. And so we're looking at both the public and the private sector and saying how do we move the needle, north, because it's going south right now. So how do we move it north and keep it north? I mean, I'm going to be looking at answering questions at leadership and the future direction of education, and generally what is educational transformation and how can we make it a reality? Move it from that paper that Mr. Olushola was talking about and move it to the reality of things. So that's what I am going to be looking at specifically. We have amazing, other amazing speakers. If you're trying to register, for example, right now, I can tell you that the form is full. So just come, you can still attend the event. You just have to sign manually. Yeah, it's full. So
I mentioned the Good Morning Education Show, KK. That KK told.
I have to because we're doing stuff here. So definitely, I will everything. Thank you, Mr. Rotimi.
Fantastic. Yeah. So everyone, you've heard that. Don't be caught napping. Sunday 7th. It's Sunday 17th,
Yeah,
right?
3 p.m.
Oriental Hotel, Lekki, Lagos. It's going to be an interesting time. I will be there. Others will be there, and it will be a great one.
We need to have that ever date.
Oh, this one that well, no problem. We'll reschedule another day because I'm just hearing this now.
All right, so we have to go right now. The STEM Fest is happening on the 23rd of July, Landmark VI, and it's going to be amazing. I can tell you for free, the organization, the organizers, and all the partners coming together are getting ready for that day. And I want you to get your students, your children, your school to be available on that day. In fact, try to be one of those first 200 people who win the gift, at the STEM Fest for coming in early. The link is on the screen, and you can always catch it on the replay, and make sure that you're part of it. So many fantastic things happening in Abuja. SIBA Consulting is putting together the Abuja conference, I believe. I think it's happening tomorrow, and it's also going to be a great one. Try to be a part of it. At this point, we'll be saying goodbyes on the show right now. At the count of 3, we will say our goodbyes. Olushola, are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
See you.
Bye.